Hello, this is Fleur Majestrix, and we're back with the next extra part. I want to just say something quick based on my other extra part. I kind of screwed up when I said Faroki has like bad moves. It's not that it has bad moves because Heat Wave, X-Scissor, and X-Scissor aren't bad moves actually in the slightest. And if this is like Gen 7, Leash Life would have been a better move. It's more that these moves, while good, except for Leech Life at this moment, is not good on Faroki, who can't make good use of them. That's more of what I meant. I meant Faroki can't make good use of them. I That was about really all I wanted to say on that. Now onward to the next Pokemon. Tankoon. Tankoon is a dark normal type. I told you about Tankoon a bit. Dark normal as a typing is rather odd. It's very much like psychic normal. It's a very weird typing. Much like psychic normal, it's immune to ghost because of its normal typing. But for Tankoon, it makes less sense because it would have resisted ghost. But I guess having an immunity is still better than even having a resistance. So it's still good, even though it would have resisted ghost. The problem is Tankoon has a ×4 weakness to fighting. But we're going to get into that when we go into its evolution, Tanskir, which you can get at level 18. Tanskir is, again, a dark normal, and if you get a Tankoon with Runaway, that will turn into Moxie, which means whenever Tanskir knocks out a Pokemon, it gains a stage of attack. Not bad. If it could make use of it. Or it can make use of Guts a little bit better, but if it can make use of any of those abilities, it should be a better Pokemon. Tanskir suffers because primarily statting. 90 base 95 speed though is not terrible. Actually, to be fair, base 95 speed is fine. There are worse speeds out there, and base 95 speed can definitely be worked with. And it's just mainly the base 85 attack and the fact that it's just that typing does not do it any favors. Dark normal is very easily bested by fighting, which is an incredibly common attack typing. It's still a frail Pokemon, especially defensively, meaning an Earthquake is going to knock this thing out very fast, and it may not get its job done that it wants to do. So that's kind of its problem. Hence, that's kind of the big problem with a lot of like fast sweepers. They tend to live or die by their speed and their attacking stats. And if they can't get their job done or others do the job better, then why run it? And that's kind of Tanskir's problem. Like, it can do the strategy with Guts and a Flame Orb, and it can like do that for like a double damage facade with increased attack. But increased attack and stab. But the problem is then you're not giving an item to help its base 95 speed. Like I said, base 95 speed isn't bad, primarily because that can still be worked with like a choice item or a stat increasing move. But Tanskir really's only got, well, nothing. Sudden Strike is a unique move to the game. It is a dark type quick attack. There's going to be a lot of new quick attacks in this game. But yeah, its move pool is actually worse than some of the other Pokemon I've shown. So it's up to its TMs to then back it up. So, but yeah, not the best. Especially Shadow Claw. Shadow Claw is good if you're not dark, or if you're like, yeah, if you're anything but a dark typing. It's pretty bad because Dark and Ghost have very similar, are very similar as an attacking typing. They both basically are going to cover the same things you want them to cover. You want Ghost to cover Psychic and itself, and Dark's going to cover Ghost and Psychic. It's not that great in that regard, but it's Tanskir really can't do anything. It can do stuff. Again, I'm over exaggerating when I say it can't do anything. It can do stuff. Like when I say a Pokemon can't do anything, it obviously can in the main game, but in Uranium more so than any other game, Uranium and another Pokemon fan game out there called Reborn, you're gonna need Pokemon that can do a job. You cannot get by with a suboptimal Pokemon that's not going to do as good of a job. If you cannot make it optimally do its job, you're going to fail in the late game. You're going to get smacked in the late game. Especially in a game like Uranium. It's going to get pretty hard to deal with. But Tanskir is important for another reason, and that is It's going to be a very common Pokemon during the mid and late game to encounter during well, it has this brand new typing that's unique to Uranium called Nuclear. And you're going to a lot of Nuclear Tanskiers in the future. So get used to that. Bahar is a good Pokemon. A very good fire Pokemon. It's a solid fire flying type. At level 19, it turns into Palaji. And at level 36, it turns into Page. You basically get Page at the level you'd get most final forms for starters. It's a fire flying with either Flash Fire or Big Pecs. I heavily recommend Flash Fire, and primarily because, well, now if it has Flash Fire, it's now immune to a fire attack, and if a fire attack would hit it, it would then instead get a boost of power to its own fire moves. And this is what Faroki should have had as an ability, at least. Or some unique created fire absorb ability, because Uranium likes making new abilities. So I don't know why they didn't just make a fire absorb at this point. So it's fire flying, so it has a ×4 weakness to rock. But if your stats are good, you can make up for it. And its stats are not too bad. It's not defensive, but it hits very hard. It has a solid 110 base 110 special attack. And unlike Tanskier, has a base 100 speed. So it's a lot easier to work with, and you can give this thing a choice scarf, and it can do its job and do damage and get good damage off. It does what it's supposed to do, which is be a fast sweeper, a fast special sweeper, and it is outclassed, but at least it can optimally do its job. You're there. While it's suboptimal compared to others, it's still optimal enough to get you through the game, and that's why Page also looks pretty cool. I like Page's final form. It looks pretty neat. Just don't get Big Pecs. I heavily recommend Flash Fire. Gibraltar is another very good Pokemon, and less for offense, less for defense, more for support. Gibraltar has a high base 110 speed. That's good. Fast. It's fast. And base 85 special attack can still be played around with. Its move pool is pretty good, actually. Nuzzle is a very good electric move that auto paralyzes, and it at least will do some damage. Electro Ball is good if you have some decent speed, and it's got access to Super Fang, which is an amazing move, which halves your health, which halves the health if you hit with it. And you get that mixed with maybe some Toxic and maybe a screen if you want to make it a screen, if you want to make it like a screen Pokemon, or you want to give it any other supportive move. Well, there are reasons why you might want to give it these moves. Its ability is Quick Charge, which is super useful. Quick Charge, according to Uranium, I want to read this to you, to show you why I'm saying what I'm going to say. The bearer of Quick Charge always moves first in the turn it is sent in. What this means is that this Pokemon, Gibraltar, it's unique to Gibraltar only. Sorry, here's Gibraltar. If Gibraltar is sent in the first turn, whenever it's sent in, it will always move first. It will always get off a auto-paralyzed Nuzzle. It will always get off a half-health Super Fang. You could even wait. You could even just Nuzzle first turn, Super Fang second turn. Like, it'll always do that. It can always be a revenge killer. You can give it one, damaging move to be a revenge killer. You can give it just other things. It will always go first the first turn it's sent in. That is such a powerful ability. That is unique to Uranium, and if on any other Pokemon it would have been busted, it's still powerful on Gibraltar, but not as broken as it would be on some of the other Pokemon in this game. So it's really good as an ability. And I can easily recommend picking up Gibraltar, provided you do not pick up Raptorch, or you have an option you want to run that can deal with water. This is not a good option against water Pokemon. It's not. It's weak to water. It may not kill the water type, and it may die then in the process, and then you lose your support. And in Pokemon, having a support is very important. Comite is another very good Pokemon. You get Comite in Comet Cave, and at level 25, he'll evolve into Cometeor. Oh, by the way, you get Gibraltar on Route 4, and you get Pahara on Route 4. And you get Tankoon on Route 4 as well. So, at level 25, it'll evolve into Cometeor, where it gains a Psychic typing, and if you got Hustle, its ability turns into Technician. or you'll get Surdy if you have Surdy. But don't get Surdy. Get Hustle, because Technician is very good. Technician will give a power boost to all moves with a base 60 power or less. And if you could trade it, which I recommend doing, it sucks that there's a trade evolution in Uranium, which is a fan game, but you can get it. You get Astronite, a rock psychic type that looks pretty cool. That's actually pretty solid. Gets Technician, which is just potent as all heck as an ability if your move pool allows for it. Has a high base 115 special attack. A base 105 speed is even better than Page. So it's another sweeper, but this one's rock psychic, and it can get the job done. And that's all you really need to worry about sometimes in Uranium. And its move pool, it'll get a double stab ancient power with Technician. That's not bad. It's not terrible at all. I mean, that means that you'll have a rather hard-hitting ancient power that can boost all your stats up. So that's actually, for once, ancient power is good on this thing. It's actually very good. You may be better off using some of its other psychic moves, just because confusion isn't worth it. But it gets Moonblast as coverage, which Fairy as coverage is not bad. It's actually very good coverage. It can also gain access to Hidden Power. So you get a 90 power Hidden Power move. You get a 90 power Hidden Power, which is just fantastic. That is so good for coverage. If you want, you can go for Charge Beam boosts. There's a lot you can do with this Pokemon. And its move pool is varied enough that it can at least hit varying typing. So this is a really good Pokemon to get. If you can pick one up, get one. Another good Pokemon, at least in main games, is Mareep. Mareep is a Gen 2 Pokemon. It is always a mono electric until it Mega Evolves, because its final evolution is still pure electric until it Mega Evolves, where it gets the Dragon typing. It becomes a Flaffy at level 15. And then at 30, it becomes Ampharos. Ampharos is another hard-hitting Pokemon. It hits hard, but it has the same base special attack as Astronite, but unlike Astronite, it's slower, but it is more defensive. And you know what? It's not bad at doing that. It's really good in the main games of being a tank and still returning fire very well. And its Mega hits even harder and is far more defensive. And Dragon is a very good typing if you want to get a defensive Pokemon as well. So, because Dragon's good for offense and defense. So, you can't get Megas yet, but if you want to Mega Ampharos, you can get one. Ampharos is always good to have. The only downside is a pretty shallow move pool. It's the only thing you're really sacrificing is, speed and a bad move pool. But I like Ampharos. A lot of people like Ampharos, and it's cool. Bashan is the counterpart to Ampharos in Uranium. Bashan is a Uranium-only Pokemon. It is a Dark Fighting, and at level 22, it evolves into Bishath, and at level 44, it evolves into Barriite. Barriite, though, is not that different from Ampharos. The major difference is that Barriite has it has a higher base attacking stat. In this case, it's a physical attacker, and it has a base 125, so very good. Base 100 HP is very good for defense. And has a pretty high base defense and special defense, along with a much higher base speed. I mean, compared to Ampharos, Ampharos is better defensively, but less effective in HP. The only downside is, again, Barriite is still a Dark Fighting Pokemon, and it's a Dark Fighting that's slow and bulky. But Dark Fighting's not a bad defensive typing. I just would have liked if they would have made this thing different enough to have been a speedy, frail Dark Fighting Pokemon. It could have been a good contrast to Ampharos and other Dark Fighting Pokemon. But you can pick up Bashan on Route 5. I recommend picking up Bashan if you want a fighting type. Barriite gets the job done so well, can take hits like a champ, and can still dish out damage very effectively. The only downside is Bashan takes a little bit to get going in terms of power, It becomes a lot better once it evolves into Bischoff. Bischoff's a bit slow in that regard. It's not very good on attacking because its move pool isn't that good yet. And it can't even learn Brick Break, which is sad because freaking Bar Rule can learn Brick Break despite having, well, nothing to break the bricks with. Kostra is unfortunately not as good, but it can still do something, and if you can find something to do with it, well, go ahead. Kostra is this weird poison psychic snake, and at level 28, it turns into Tropint, who is based literally off of Birdo, having the title of the Birdo Pokemon. It's a poison psychic. It has base 95 special defense. That's like its best stat, and it's not fantastic, but it can do stuff design-wise. I only like it because it looks like Birdo. Otherwise, I really don't care much for Trompent. Its move pool is nothing great. Poison's on a good offensive typing. It's decent defensively. Psychic isn't a good defensive typing, though. I guess it's okay. It can at least get some like setup moves and some varying moves. So it does at least get that benefit, is that Trompent at least has coverage. That's the one thing Trompent has over some of these other Pokemon that have kind of like average stats, is that Trompent at least can cover typing. So if you want Trompent, you can get one and you won't be too worse off simply just because of that fact alone. And again, Poison's not a terrible defensive typing, at least. Lunapup is another one of these duo rivalry Pokemon. Lunapup is a ground fighting type, and upon giving it a Moonstone, it will evolve into Heirloom, who is a Pokemon with a gender difference. If males are bulkier, well, or bigger looking, males are bigger looking, females are thinner looking and have longer eyelashes. You can't really see it here, but you may see it in game when we fight a Heirloom. They have longer eyelashes and are thinner, the females. Heirloom gets either Mold Breaker or Guts. I'd recommend Guts because Mold Breaker, while okay, is just not as good, and Heirloom is a slow, bulky ground fighting type, and ground fighting is pretty bad defensively, primarily because look at all those lovely weaknesses. Look at that! All those lovely weaknesses. Flying, water, grass, psychic, ice, and fairy. It's just not that good. It's got some, I guess, yeah, okay, it's resistant to poison, bug, and dark, but dark's the only thing really worth noting. It's immune to electric. Double rock resistance is nice, but there are better things out. It's better. It doesn't matter. It's really not going to make a big difference. It's also frail specially. So a really powerful like water or grass move will probably knock this thing down to size. Same for a really strong special fairy move will knock this thing down. But, you know, it hits hard. But so does Barriite. And it's also weak to fairy, and I'd say it's arguably the better defensive Pokemon. A surprisingly strong Pokemon, though, is the villainous side. Heirloom is meant to be, well, a hero. Minyan is meant to be an evil villain, I guess. It's called the Tiny Master of Evil. I don't like that it's named after Vigor's title. It's a dark poison type without levitate, meaning it's only weak to ground, which was done for a reason. I'm very thankful they did that. And when you give it a Dusk Stone, which I could recommend giving it a Dusk Stone as soon as possible, because it will evolve into Vilucard. And at the time you can pick up Minyan, you get Minyan and Lunapup on Route 6, and you can only get them at specific times of the day. Lunapup is during the day or afternoon, and Minyan is only at night, and both are 15% chance. Why I could recommend getting a Vilucard early is, out of the evolutions you can get early, its base stats are very good, especially its attacking stats. Base 108 attack, base 102 special attack, and a base 90 speed. Like I said, 90 speed is not bad. It is workable. It is totally workable. And it has that psychic immunity, which is nice, which actually covers its poison weakness. It's got some decent, it's only weak to ground, so it has a bunch of typings that actually just deal neutral to it. Well, it's weak to this typing as well, nuclear, but I'm going to get into nuclear later, and that's kind of special. But it may hinder its move pool. But Drain Life is its signature move, and you will get it still by leveling up. Minion's move pool, though, normally I think is okay. So you can get it if you want, but your best move that you probably want to get is maybe Drain Life, which it'll get earlier when it evolves. So if you want, you can level up to 25, get some moves, and then evolve it. Shadow Sneak is not worth waiting to level 50 to get, in my opinion at least. It's better to just breed it if you want it. Violet card, though, is very powerful because of its ability Bloodlust, a unique Uranium ability. A lot of the Uranium unique abilities tend to be better than abilities you may get in the actual main series games. Bloodlust works like this. Whenever Violet card does damage with any attack, be it physical or special, or, well, contact or not, it will heal itself for a bit of the damage done. So it has a permanent drain effect as a passive. This also stacks, though, with other drain moves, including Giga Drain and, well, Drain Life, a 75 power physical dark move unique to Uranium that will heal for 50% of the damage dealt. So combine that with Bloodlust, it's going to heal a lot of damage back. And base 90 speed is still fast enough that it can try to outspeed some Pokemon. You can give it a choice item if you want and just have it deal a boatload of damage and have it just focus on that if you want. It's got enough attack to kind of make use of it, so you give it a choice scarf and have it be like this physical attacker, this physical sweeper who can heal itself up constantly and not have to worry as much. Or you can give it a life orb and have it heal up its damage that it may deal to itself with a life orb. There's a lot you can do with Violet card. And I could easily recommend picking up a Violet card, although its design may not be the best. That's it for the Pokemon, though, for this part. This is the end of this specific extra part, and next time we'll be going back into the game proper, with us actually going on to Route 6, and we're going to see what comes our way. This has been Fleur Majestrix, and have a good day.